I'd be meeting strangers at Buc-ee's to give them their ring. You just got to do what you got to do. And people ask me, oh, how did you get into this? And I don't even want to share. It's a crazy story.
Welcome to Comfortable Conversations. I'm your host, Jazz Kirk, where we dive into the greatest gift life can offer us, discomfort. These honest yet comfortable conversations we will have are essential as your life is your canvas. In each episode, I will share practical wisdom and personal stories that guide you through life's big questions, encouraging growth, self-discovery, and deeper connections in your everyday life. Today's guest I have is Jasmine Carter, who, if you all are not familiar with, is the founder of Balacia, a Black-owned jewelry brand. She is dipped in the jewels today. She came ready to give her wedding ring, her diamonds on the bracelet on the neck. Ladies and gentlemen, she came to give us what it's meant to give. But I do want to share, I actually met Jasmine several years ago. Very interesting story. My ex met her first. Saw her in the gym. She had just had her second baby, killing it. And he stops her to introduce, he was like, you are killing it in the gym, got the baby, all of this. And he sends me her page and all these rings. And I'm like, why is this man sending me wedding rings and stuff? What is this? And he's like, you got to meet her. And her name is Jasmine. And I was like, okay, whenever there's a person named Jasmine, they're all automatically amazing to me. And it's going to be, it writes itself from there. And the spelling of her name is the same. We spell it with the S. Z's, love you out there, but it's the S's all day. So welcome. Thank you for coming. How are you feeling today?
Thank you. I'm feeling good. I'm a little emotional already, but I'm feeling good. And I'm excited.
Yay. So I want to just jump right in because to know you is to love you. To know you is to know a very hardworking, phenomenal Black woman, mother, wife, entrepreneur. But I would love to know what discomfort led to that version of yourself, of who you are sitting here right now.
Wow. Heavy question. There's so much. I'm thinking, I guess there was a lot of discomfort in a lot of areas. So for example, I always wanted to be a designer, but I didn't know what space I was supposed to be in. I was like, am I supposed to be a fashion designer, an interior designer, and an architect, which I would almost consider a designer. So I just thought, where am I supposed to be? And I kept trying. And this is I started my first quote unquote business when I was 11 years old outside of my mom's house.
Okay.
So I would just sell stacks and I'd wait for cars to stop by because our house was on a major road. It was in the suburbs in a community, but we had a house that was on the road. So, and I had my little sister and she was 7 years old and I'd have her hold a sign and say, stop for snacks. But I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I wanted to grow and build something. And I wanted to just be a creative director, but the owner and have full creative control. Yeah. So there was a lot of discomfort in failure because I started so many businesses trying to figure out, is this for me? Is this for me? I started a cosmetics line. I started a clothing line with dresses and none of it fit. And I found out very quickly with each business, which is why I've started so many. I was like, this isn't right. So finally, when Devin proposed to me and I saw my ring, I knew instantly. It just clicked. I was like, I'm supposed to be a jewelry designer. This is it. So the discomfort in the failures, but also, of course there's growth there. You learn so much. So that's just one. Honestly, I could go on forever about discomfort.
So the discomfort in the failures, you still were willing to try again to figure out because you knew you were meant to be creative and you were meant to design. And every time a failure presented itself, you just kept saying, okay, it's not this.
Yes. I feel like I knew my calling from a young age. I just didn't know where or what it was going to be, but I knew that it was going to be in a creative space. So, oh goodness. Yeah, it's It's been such an awesome ride getting to design and I do custom for people too. So they submit their custom requests, but getting to design my own collections is the most fun thing in the world. I love being the creative director of the brand.
But so, and that's the fun part, right? And
Yes.
you finally get to that nucleus of like, man, I get to do this. I get to wear my diamonds and share that story. But what did it take to, and I think this is what I want to share with the people of like, how do you keep going when failure hits you and know like to have the courage to try again? Because I think that's like, now you can say like, I failed a lot, but I made it here. But someone else who's like, okay, it's like the post, I forgot what post was recently. It's like, I had 12 businesses and number 13 worked out and made millions, but
and I
the
reposted
other
that.
12 did nothing at all. So how does someone keep going? How do you share with them the resilience, like the age ranges of this at 11 years old, 10, 11 years old, you're like, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And now you're what age?
I'm 30 now. I keep forgetting how old I am, but I'm 30.
Yeah. So, but it's like you had all of those in that time, have had 2 kids, gotten married, failed with him, like,
Yes.
you know,
it's been a lot. And man, adding entrepreneurship in itself is hard. It just is. And then you add on having kids and being married on top of that. It's crazy. I mean, you saw me back in the day when I would just be struggling just to get dressed in the morning. I was so exhausted. The midnight wake ups of nursing a newborn and then having a toddler chase around. I was so tired but I was still so committed. And I was like, this is it. This is like what God's called me to do. Whew, I'm getting emotional, but I feel like talking to God really helps you get through the discomfort, because if you know what your calling is, you just push through.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, my emotions.
No, I feel you. Like it really does become that simple, having that comfortable conversation. Like, God, I'm here. Help.
Yes.
Send help. Give help. I know I'm where I'm supposed to be, so I'll hear you when you talk to me.
Yes, absolutely. And it's hard sometimes when you're confused and you're like, oh God, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, I know I'm operating in my calling, but what specifically am I supposed to do? What collection am I supposed to do next? How long am I supposed to do custom? You know, one really important thing to me is I want Balacia in stores, but you know, what's the timeline for that? I feel like it's not right now, but I would love for it to be soon. But yeah, it's all God's timing and really trusting God's timing. So that's one thing. It's taken me a long time to learn, but really just pushing through. And it's so great when clients message you and give you that validation and they're like, oh, I proposed, look at this proposal video. And this is the ring you made. And it feels so special being chosen to be a part of somebody's love story. And I love sentimental pieces. You know, engagement rings are so special. They're so meaningful, and wedding bands, and just knowing that they could pass it down forever because it's the best quality means so much. Yeah.
But what I really hear a part of your story is faith is a huge part of the journey.
It's everything. I don't know where I'd be without my faith. And I love church every Sunday. I mean, I was out of town 2 weeks ago, but we watched it online. So I feel like I have the best church ever for me. I feel like a lot of people go to church, they go to a church and they're like, you know what? I'm not a church person. This isn't for me. And I'm like, well, try another church. Maybe this church isn't for you. Maybe you can't receive the message from this pastor. Well, try another one. Don't just give up. Don't give up on God. Don't give up on church. Just keep going and really find where you're fit. And I found the best church. And I'm just so happy. It's 100% my fit, 100% for my husband, and my kids love it. Yeah. It just means everything to us.
So how did faith become a part of your foundation of, one, Jasmine, that identity, your family foundation, but then also your business foundation? How did you know that needed to be embedded in everything that you did?
Wow, great question. Well, I grew up going to, Christian schools, and I mean, went to like Christian preschool, but also I would go to church every Wednesday, every Sunday, and Wednesday was the kids groups, and up until 6th grade I did that. So it was really implemented in me from a young age. My mother did that. Thank God. And I guess as I grew older, I feel like when I was a teenager, I did fall off a little bit, not because I wanted to, but my church home, it was good, but it wasn't like that full fit for me. So I kind of fell off as a teenager, and I would go, I don't know, not as often as now, not every Sunday.
You needed to explore what else is out there.
Yeah, I wish that I had, and I didn't have a car at this point or anything, but I wish I was able to, I don't know, look up churches on YouTube. I don't even know if that was a thing back then when I was a teenager. It probably wasn't, but I wish I had the resources that people have now, because nowadays, if you don't find a church home, you can just go on YouTube.
I'm an online church viewer.
Yeah, there's so many good ones online. And I guess when I first started Balacia, oh my goodness, I worked in real estate. I was an office manager, and that was kind of, and I love real estate. I've always loved real estate. That's like my love next to jewelry. I can never be a realtor because I'm just not built for that, but I love real estate.
Same, girl, same. Yeah. I'd be like, no, I can't show you a house. I want to buy the house. That's it.
I want to heart the homes on Zillow, but that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I worked in real estate as an office manager, and I was learning about real estate and kind of trying to feel it out. Like, could I do this? And the answer is no, but I figured that out on the way. But that's when I started Balacia, and I would watch videos because sometimes I'd come to work and I don't know, whether I had a bad day or something like that. I would watch these videos. I'd watch Elevation Church on YouTube. And it was so nice just being able to search how to deal with anxiety, or what do you do when you're feeling low, or anything like that. Just being able to search that. And I would just listen to it while I worked. I'd just listen to YouTube and pray and just feel better while I got my work done. And after I finished all my work, that's when I'd get on and I built the Balacia website. It took months, but I have a small background in web design. So I built the Balacia website and started getting my creatives together, and it was just funny building Balacia to, starting it up, getting the website up while listening to church. And it's just really, we're a faith-based company. My husband and I, we're a husband and wife owned team, and we love God, and we, try to show that in our work. So,
yeah. So I know we've tapped at and shared Balacia, but take us through one, you and your husband run it. You and your husband are the ones packaging it up. You guys have hit 1 million in sales. So you are it's amazing, but you're still a small business. Like, take us through starting that, how do you sustain that? How do you keep going? Because what the people don't know is we lived in the same building, and I would see Jasmine, but she'd be like, this is not how, like, my customers get these gorgeous packages, but this is how I looked in a day. And it's like that realness and rawness in entrepreneurship, having your own business, growing it, having a real life. How do people talk about life balance? And you're like, does it balance? It ebbs and flows, baby. But like, really share about Balacia and what, like, the meaning behind it. What is this brand for you?
Yeah. So the word Balacia, my husband and I made it up, and this was in, I think, 2017, and it's 2017 to 2018. Anyway, it's really a play on the word balance. So it means, you don't have to spend, $50,000 on the best quality ring. We're a balance of affordability and quality. You're getting great quality, but we don't need to mark our things up 20 times, Yeah. I just personally, it's just a personal belief. We just don't believe in that, in price gouging. So, but you're still getting great quality. We use master jewelers, not the, standard jewelers, no offense to them, but we like to really build the best of the best. And so it's balance, it's utopia, it's love. It's just, I don't even know how to put it into words. But we made up the word, and so Devin was in college, and we were broke college students when we started this. We didn't have money for diamonds or anything. We were just like, we're going to make this work because this is what we need to be doing. Like, we just, when you feel called by God to do something, you do it. You make it work.
You know how to step. You know how to take the powerful step.
Yeah, because it's like God's got you. So, and oh my goodness, like I said, broke college student. So Devin was working a full-time internship and full-time student, and he had a job on top of the full-time internship and school. So we barely even saw each other. And I worked at a nonprofit for a little while. And then when it got shut down, I was an Uber driver. Nobody knows that. I've never told anybody that, but I was a struggling creative.
Listen, you do what you got to do.
You do what you got to do. I was like, I need money to build this brand. So, and then I got my real estate job just weeks after that, but I did what I had to do in the meantime until I got that real estate job. And it was hard. And so I started the brand, and I didn't do custom at first. I was still learning custom. But I started just with boutique style rings. So I'd buy rings, and then I would post them on Facebook Marketplace. And I'd be meeting strangers at Buc-ee's to give them their ring. And it's just crazy how much we've grown since then. But I mean, you just got to do what you got to do. And people ask me, oh, how did you get into this? And I don't even want to share because it's like, I don't know. It's a crazy story. I mean, meeting people at Buc-ee's to selling millions of dollars online.
That's the thing that I'm like, people have to hear that, because people will start something like this and think they're supposed to start at like, the first year we do $1 million in sales. And it's like, no, you got to go through the grit of it.
Yeah.
What are you willing to do, and who are you willing to become?
Yes, exactly.
Like, I think that is so important. And like, people need to hear, like, this is where it started. It started at, we were broke college students, but we had faith.
Yeah.
And we were willing to market ourselves, create the website, do all the work, and take all the excuses out.
Yes.
Meeting people at Buc-ee's.
Yeah. And they all loved it. It was great seeing their expressions, but some people are the no call, no shows and things like that. And I was like, I can't live like this. I was like, this is not like the way that I want to do this. So I took a break. I was like, it's got to get better. This is not, something's off. So I felt like.
How long of a time frame was like, how long had you started? And then where was that? How long was the break of like, let me take a step back?
I think it was maybe 8 months or so of me pushing and building. And I tried to do online mostly, but then when that wasn't working out as well, then that's when I started to post on social media. And I was like, okay, I'm not supposed to be making not enough money, struggling with this brand. I was like, something's off. Let me take a step back. I'm going to go into corporate. So I go into corporate. I mean, there was a break in between, but I worked at HelloFresh as a brand ambassador for 3 months. And in those 3 months, I became top seller in the office. Now, I struggled at first. I almost quit. After 3 weeks, I was like, I am not selling. And I almost quit. But I had a feeling, I was like, stick with it. So I stuck with it. And I became top seller in the office. Something just clicked in my brain. And I was like, I got this now.
Yeah.
And it was, oh my gosh, it was a crazy experience. But HelloFresh had hundreds of brand ambassadors. And when I started to like climb up and up, not just in our Dallas office, but I was like, okay, I'm learning so much. I'm learning sales. I'm learning how to like connect with people. And it was so special because I'm like, I'm selling something I love because I love food. And I can really like connect with people, and they could see my passion for it, which was really cool because I just had a booth at events, and I'd be like, hey, do you like food? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, well, come over here. Just look at this salmon. And I, just really learning how to have a conversation because I used to be super shy.
Yeah.
So that job really got me out of my comfort zone. And I learned so much that I use today just to, I don't know. I learned how to, I guess, talk to people because I used to be so shy.
You learned how to be your own brand ambassador for your business.
Exactly.
And like, it's funny because we don't even know those little jobs, those little, if you want to call it a step back or something like that, like God already knows that's going to be a part of your story. And he uses that, like, that's a lesson that you get to add. And like, it's life experience that you get to use for Balacia.
Yeah.
Like, that's really dope.
And it kind of feels weird when you start a business and then you go back to corporate. It does kind of feel like a step back. So I was like kind of confused, but I was like, I'm just going to trust the process. And I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. And it worked out great. And then when I got pregnant, so COVID happened. I got laid off of HelloFresh after only 3 months. But then they were really sweet. They were like, oh, well, we don't want to just, give you nothing. You could do customer care, which is Yeah, I don't like talking to angry people on the phone. So, I was like, I appreciate the offer, but
absolutely not.
Yeah,
Y'all not gonna
I'm
cuss
okay.
me out at 9 a.m.
Yeah, I actually tried it, and some guy said the F word to me on the phone. I was like, nah, I'm good. So I told them, I was like, I appreciate you trying to, not make us jobless, but I'm gonna step away from this. So. And my husband, he had taken a pay cut at work because of COVID. So instead of doing layoffs, they did pay cuts. And we were like, you know what? Let's go do something crazy. Let's go overseas to Spain for a little while and grow the brand. And so he had started his men's line. So I was only doing, at first with Balacia, I was doing silver rings. I was doing CZ. I kind of had limiting beliefs about, people don't know me as a designer, so why would they buy diamonds from me, et cetera, et cetera. Like I wasn't in the press and things like that. And I'd never sold a diamond ring at this point. But at HelloFresh, with my success there, we upgraded my ring that Devin proposed with. We upgraded it to a 6.5 carat radiant cut ring. And I took a video of the ring on my hand and I uploaded it on Facebook. And like 5 minutes later, it was going viral. And I was like,
oh, wow,
this is crazy. I'd gone viral once, but it was on a joint post with somebody. So this was like, I'd never gone viral myself. And it was in a Facebook group for Black owned businesses. So I woke up in the morning to thousands of likes and like 80 comments. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What is happening right now? I was like, is this like my time finally? Yeah. And people DM'd me. They were like, oh, can you design my ring? I love yours. Or, oh, I want that exact one.
And you had designed the ring.
Yeah, I designed the ring.
Upgraded.
Yeah. So, yeah, because he was the one who was like, let's do gold. Let's do diamonds. You're doing the CZ and the silver. You're not feeling fulfilled doing that. So let's take it up a notch. Like it's time. And I was a little nervous about it. So he did it first with his men's line. And after a week, I was like, okay, I'm in. He showed me it can be done. What
limiting beliefs were there that was it just fear of like, because it's the negative self-talk we hear, and that you shared, but did it help that you had a partner who like pushed past your ceiling?
Yes, 100%. It was crazy because, I was just thinking, nobody really I wasn't really posting myself on social media. Now I know, share your business, let people see it. But I guess, I don't know, I'd seen or heard, you don't want to, I don't know, get in people's face too much or something. It was all just, I don't know, craziness. But yeah, you have to share your brand. And he really made me realize that. So it didn't matter if nobody knew me as a designer, why not try? So the post, when people loved my design and DM'd me and they knew I was a new designer, but they trusted me with their work and they bought rings and we've been full-time ever since then. It's been, I think 5 years now. That post going viral and those people DMing, and then I use their work to, take videos and photos, and then people saw that work and then they wanted a ring. And then, the cycle just continued. And it was just such a God moment because at least for me, going viral is pretty hard. But it was just time. And we decided we were going to go overseas. We were going to go to Spain and, just get inspired by the architecture and everything and make collections and just design whatever we wanted. Then we found out we were pregnant, which we were trying, but we thought, oh, it's been a month and a half. Maybe it didn't work.
Yeah.
I didn't know the timeline for pregnancy.
Well,
but then we found out I was pregnant. So we were like, well, both of us are jobless now. We need to make this jewelry thing work. We need to really, continue the plan and trust God. And it was crazy. We ended up going to Mexico because Spain was closed from COVID. Gave birth in Mexico, which was an awesome experience. And people still worked with me when I was in Mexico. I was still making the designs and it was so awesome. It was a great experience.
So do you, for someone who's listening to this and they're like, what about me when I think I'm on the right path? I think I'm doing the right thing. I'm sharing the post. I'm sharing myself, but it's not working. Cause you're it seems like it was effortless, right? Oh, it seems like it was in flow. It seems like everything started to make sense. It seems like, but is that the reality of what you were experiencing? Was there still stress? Was there still anxiety? Was there still fear, but you step with faith?
Yeah. I mean, it was so hard. Like extremely hard. Ooh, I'm getting emotional again. Ooh, especially when you put hormones on top of everything, you know, I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, I had a newborn baby in Mexico selling and designing diamond rings. It was crazy. And you know, sometimes it's like, oh, it's not enough. We got to boost our sales. We have to do this. We have to do that. Cause we were just starting. And our first full year doing Balacia, because we went full time into it. When did COVID start? What year was that?
2020.
2020. So we had goals. Like we talked to God every day, my husband and I, and we set goals in 2020. We said, okay, sales started to really pick up it was like June when I went viral, and then sales were like slowly coming in, and we set a goal in July. Okay, let's do $10,000 a month in revenue, not profit.
Yeah.
We were like, that'll be enough. We don't have any bills. HelloFresh paid off all the bills because it was commission based. It was base plus commission. And I made a lot in commission, more than I'd ever made at the time. So we had no bills or anything. But we were going to Mexico. So we were going to have bills, rent and food and everything. So we set a goal, let's do $10,000 a month and we can survive off of that.
Yeah.
But then like 3 months later, it was like in the fall, and we were at 30K per month. And I was like, okay, this is growing really quickly. And at the end of the year in December, we set a goal. We were like, let's do $500,000 next year. In my mind, we wrote a list of why. And in my mind, we're like, in revenue, not profit. We're like, okay, we can do so much with this, blah, blah, blah. But then, you know, 2021 comes and we surpass 500K, but it is not enough.
Yeah.
Because we've grown so much that we have a lot of expenses. Yeah. So we're like, okay, well, you know, let's keep going up in the goals. Cause this is, you know,
you're learning like you have this goal, but everything that comes with that goal now.
Lots of stress, lots of bills. It was definitely hard. Everything. How do I word this? You really need a lot of patience, and a lot of faith, in my opinion, to be an entrepreneur. Because, I mean, if a couple slow days are going to make you feel like really sad, like you have to remember what like the ultimate goal is. And you have to remember like
your why.
Yeah. Your why, and that you're operating in God's calling. And sometimes you need to shift. Sometimes if something's really not working, you have to shift. But it's just funny, you know, thinking, oh, 500K will be financially free and we can hire people to grow the business. Yeah, no.
Sorry, guys. That's not how it is when you get there.
Yeah.
It's like, now you're just at 500K problems.
Yes, exactly. Welcome. I'm like, it might look cool on paper, but
we are stressed out.
Yes. I mean, and we took a loan from my aunt because we thought, oh, maybe if we can, you know, do these events, like sponsor these events and do all these things, then we can kind of automate the business more. And then, you know, because we had a newborn. So we're like, let's, you know, we want to spend time with our baby, of course. So it's like, we need something to be automated for as close to residual income as we can get. And it's really hard.
It takes fail. But you guys are willing to step and fail and say, okay, that's not failure.
So exhausted. Yeah. With like Kai, our first baby, he woke up like 3 times a night until he was almost 18 months. Yeah. It went from 3 down to 1, but the uninterrupted sleep for me was, I was like a zombie. And then I met you when I had just given birth to Christian, and I could barely do my hair and get dressed. I was so tired. I was like, I'm nursing, I'm chasing a toddler around. I was so tired.
You're packaging stuff up, but it's like you're I admired hearing your story and like during that time, because it gave me the courage to like own where I was. It wasn't just you. Like our building, we're surrounded by fellow entrepreneurs, high level executives, and just meeting people who showcase, like, it really is the consistency and discipline, because your day to day, it's not fun in rainbows and money falling from the sky and the nice cars and the nice clothes and the amazing events.
Yeah.
It's like, today is really hard and I got up and I chose this, but it's also like intentionally finding that, like, how is your mental health? I think we would have conversations like that. And it really encouraged me to begin having meaningful conversations with people. Like, when I said, okay, I'm going to have a corporate job, but also have honeydew, it was because I was like, I need security, safety. I also need this sense of my mental health. How do I build a mental wellness brand and suffer? Because this journey, this road is challenging, and we would like spades night.
Yeah, I miss spades night. Oh my goodness.
And it's just like finding the fun in things. So it's like, I get it. And I like love that you're sharing your story, because people, it's a beautiful brand, but there are human beings behind that brand sharing that message. And I think if you guys, please check out Balacia, but Devin and Jasmine, like, the way she loves love, like, every time I see her, she's like, so are we getting engaged yet? Not yet, babe.
And I get on my husband's friend's nerves, because I'm like, when are you gonna propose? Or like, are you out dating? And I know there was actually a church service that told me I kind of need to lay off of that, because it's like, if you're single, fully commit to God. And I'm like, okay, I'll back off. This was like 2 weeks ago. So I was like, I'll leave you alone. But I love love. And it's funny, because when I met my husband, I was not looking to date. I was kind of newly out of a relationship. I was like, I have no intention on dating anybody. And he wanted to, put a title on it. And I was like, I don't know about that. So it took 5 months for me to agree to be his girlfriend, because I was like, I'm not really looking for a relationship. But what really got me with him was with Devin. The first day I met him, I messaged my entire class at like 7 a.m. and I was like, okay, I'm going to fail this accounting test if somebody doesn't help tutor me. Can somebody please meet me at 8 a.m. at the library in college? And he was the only person who could do it. So he said, yeah, meet me in the study room. I got a study room in the library. So I walk in, and there's a table probably like 10 feet long, and he has notes covering the table. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I guess this is what I need. So we studied for hours, and I think our exam was at 2 or something. We studied for hours, and then we're like, okay, let's take a break before the exam and just go get something to eat so we can like really focus. So we go to the college, I don't know, what do you call it?
The
cafeteria or whatever,
or
like, whatever it's called in college. And he's like, okay, we've been studying, so tell me about yourself. And I was like, well, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And he was like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur student too. And we just connected. But what really like made me so interested was, so we walked to our classroom, and everybody was standing outside of the door because the teacher wasn't there yet. And so there's like maybe 10 of us standing there outside of the door. And he's like, all right, y'all, let's pray. So we all held hands and prayed. And he does a prayer. Ooh, I'm getting emotional. Ooh. Goodness gracious. It was just so cool. I'd never seen anybody do that. We all held hands, and he did a prayer for the whole class before the exam. He prayed for us to pass. And I was like, okay, I like this guy.
Yeah. Ever since then, you was like, God, this my man thinks. Because first of all, it's him. You go to need to study, and this man has a 10-foot table with all the notes laid out. If that's not a like man with a plan and finna execute some stuff, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I was like, I'd never seen it. I never met a man like this before. So I was interested. I was like, you know what? We should study again sometime. So he thought it was his idea, but I'm like, it was kind of my idea. I kind of trapped you a little bit, but I'm just kidding. But yeah, we became study buddies, and yeah, after 5 months of like just casually like going on dates and things like that, like we'd study at Starbucks, and we'd walk around Arundel Mills Mall in Maryland, and then go study. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to be a girlfriend now.
Oh my God.
I didn't say it like that. But yeah.
But it's faith and love. So you get to create in faith, and you get to create in love, and it happens to balance with Balacia. And I
Yeah.
think that is so beautiful. And your story here today has just like, to know you is to love you, like I said. So guys, I pray that you please check out Balacia. Today I learned that the name, you guys created the name and it means balance. I'm excited. I think last week I tried on engagement rings and it made me super emotional because it's a desire of my heart. And I love love. I love being in a relationship. So I'm excited to have you do my ring.
Yay, I'm excited.
When that day comes. I didn't know God was going to put her like right at my building, right downstairs to be like, don't worry about where you're getting. Like, it's interesting because faith is very important to me. And like, even hearing your story, you don't have to go far. Like when you have your conversations with God, it's exactly what you need is going to be planted right there, and just let it come to you. And so like when you wonder, what will this look like, or what will that? It's like, no worries, because I'll bring that to you. I don't ever, like, it's like last week trying on the engagement rings, I was like, this is crazy. Like, I don't have to wonder where I have to go. I get to tell my love story to a friend who's going to create my ring. And I couldn't have fathomed that years ago or anything like that. And it's just like so cool, like being in this entrepreneurial space and business space, because that's a lot of what we get to experience. It's like, you know, the person who created the brand, but you also know their story, their struggle, their discomfort, because you're in the thick of it as well. So
yeah, oh man, it's a wild ride. And I feel like for a while, you know, I mean, it's been years, and I've been through long periods of time where I felt like I couldn't hear God's voice. And I'm like, where do I go now? You know, I listened to you. I started the brand. Where do I go now? What do I do? And I feel like church helps me personally so much because it's really learning. And that's why I love my church, One Community Church. I feel like they really help break things down. They break down the words so you understand it. And it's fun and it's engaging and it's entertaining, and it doesn't feel like, you know, like a boring school. But I love to learn, and it's nice, you know, having people to pray for you and just hearing things worded differently. But I feel like the more you like, you know, read your Bible and go to church, it really helps you get closer to God, because
it provides some type of clarity.
Yeah, clarity and education. And so I feel like for people who don't know what to do, or they want to be creative, or they want to be an entrepreneur, I feel like if you're a Christian, go to church or watch church online if that's what you're comfortable with, and, you know, talk to God and just keep moving till you hear God's voice. So don't be like, oh, I don't know what to do. You know, I don't hear God's voice. Yeah, it'll come in God's timing. And I struggled with, you know, God's timing for a while. I'm like,
that timing would be like, now? Not yet. Okay,
like,
now?
Please.
Not yet. It's like a little toddler who's like, but is it ready now?
Exactly. Are we there yet? Come on now.
And you're like, no, we have 54 minutes. But before we go, what is one thing that you would tell your younger self?
Other than buy Bitcoin? One thing I would tell my younger self. Oh, goodness. Let me narrow this down. I would say I would say breathe and really I guess breathing exercises. When I first moved to Texas, I had just turned 21, like 6 days before I moved to Texas. And I'd had anxiety, at least to some extent, not like extreme, but to some extent I'd had it pretty much my whole life, you know, teenage years and things like that. So I would definitely tell myself just breathe, because when I moved to Texas on my week 2, I went to this, it was by Art of Living. I don't know if they still do it. They probably do. It's a nonprofit, and they do these like breathing classes or courses, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I did one, and it's like, I haven't had anxiety since then. That was
learn
11,
to
12
breathe.
years ago.
So, yeah. That's powerful. Like, learn to just take an inhale and exhale.
Yeah. And it was crazy because I think it was a trial session. I think it was 30 minutes. I fell asleep sitting up in a chair, which I'd never done in my whole life. That's how relaxed I was. Yeah. And all I was doing was following their directions, but I still remember it to this day. And that's what I do. And
it helps you like unpack.
Yeah. Like breathe and pray and just trust God.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you take nothing else, breathe, faith, hope, love.
Yes. I love love.
Thank you for joining me, Jazz Kirk, on Comfortable Conversations. Remember, the greatest gift life can offer you is discomfort. It's what shapes us, teaches us, and helps us grow. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need it, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. For more information and updates, follow us on Instagram at Honeydew. That's HUNNIDUOE. Until next time, keep embracing life's challenges as opportunities to create your masterpiece. Your canvas is waiting. Go paint it beautifully.